Are you struggling getting referrals for your business? In this week's episode, we're going to learn one of the best ways to get referrals for your business. With me today, I have the founder and CEO of The Appreciation Advocate, Steve Buzogany. Steve is a recognized expert in strategic appreciation, an author, speaker, and consultant. He has worked with nationally ranked sales teams at companies like Berkshire Hathaway and Keller Williams. Steve is best known for his ability to leave unique, long-lasting, and positive impressions on people. It was a great episode. I loved having Steve on, and I hope you get value from this episode as well. Introducing the founder and CEO of The Appreciation Advocate, Steve Buzogany. Welcome to the VJ Kailash Show. On this week's episode, I'm excited to have Steve Buzogany join us. He is the CEO and founder of The Appreciation Advocate. Steve, welcome to the show.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm really looking forward to this conversation because you're doing something that a lot of people should do, but they don't do. They neglect it. And let's talk about your story because I'm really excited to hear about how you even got to this point and why it's so important for businesses to do what you do.
For sure. So actually, for me, I started out in college with an accounting degree, and long story short, I actually hated accounting after a couple of internships. And what I ended up doing is finishing junior year and realizing I didn't want to do it anymore. And I was like, oh crap, there's only 1 year left. Can't start over now. So I just like, oh crap, what do I do? So I was like, what can I do that doesn't require a whole lot of prerequisites? So I've done real estate, and real estate basically was like, yeah, we don't need, all you need to do is be able to, as long as you have a pulse, you're good. Come on over. So I was like, all right, great. So here's your license and go sell. So I got my real estate license, and then I did really well. Got the whole Rookie of the Year award and all the fun awards.
Congrats.
All that. Yeah. I mean, they give you an award for breathing in real estate. So, I don't take the awards too much into consideration, but whatever. I did really well. As long as I kept the lights on, so I keep the lights on, and I do really well with the first year. And then, but I still, after a while, you get burnt out and you start, have to realize you put a bunch of deals in the pipeline, and then you have to service those deals, and you forget that you have to keep filling up the pipeline. So then you have these like ups and downs, and it's like the ups and downs were what really drove me nuts. And I realized that after a while, I was like, I have to do these cold calls again, or I have to make these outgoing outreach and all that stuff. And I really hated doing that. For me, I'm not like totally introverted, but I'm more on the introverted side. So I was like, how do I like the phone is so damn heavy. Why can't I pick this thing up and just so I'm like, I call it the heaviest phone in the world. So I was just like, I know I'm just going to like send people some gifts, and then I'll call behind the gift, because then it's more natural. And yeah, it's like, I don't know. Hey, I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate being in your network and how much I appreciate having you around in my life. Thanks again for being part of my life. And they were like, oh my God, Steve, thanks so much. It's the coolest gift ever, whatever. How's the market doing? Because after you make the initial contact, whether it's real estate or small business, whatever you own, like if you own a restaurant or if you're a financial advisor, they're going to ask you eventually, how's business, or how's the market, or how are things with you, whatever. And that gives you an organic door open, basically, for you to start talking about real estate. Oh, the market's great right now. A lot of people are moving and shaking. So you just had a kid. So what you guys need a new spot? Like, what's going on? So like that's an easier way to get in there, rather than, hey, so anyone buying or selling a house? I hate those conversations because then they feel terrible too, because it's like, oh, you just called because you probably need a job, or you need a gig, you need to sell a new house or whatever. You don't really care. You just want to sell a house, and it feels crappy doing it. It feels crappy receiving it. It's just awful. So I was just like, you know what? Let's just do some appreciation stuff.
Wow, that's actually really interesting. So it's because of your fear of picking up the phone and calling prospective clients. You're just like, hey, let me just send them a gift so that I have a reason to call them and build a natural relationship. And so it's almost like because of your fear, you're doing better by following a different path that 99% of people don't do.
Yeah, fear is a very powerful emotion, my friend. It just paves a new path instantly.
So let's talk a little bit about this. So these people that you send gifts to, are they already existing clients, or how do you know them, or who do you typically send gifts to?
It's both. So past clients for sure. I mean, if they've already trusted me to help them with their home search, they without doubt have to be nurtured forever. Like that's actually the client that there's like, I forget what the stat is, but it's a very large, the majority of realtors, I think it is, do not follow up with their clients after they sell them a house. So basically you're saying, find them, fleece them, forget them, which means it's like, dude, they already bought with you. They already trust you. Like you've got the deal. Like now get their referrals. Cause like the way I picture it is to me is like when I'm talking to someone, I'm not just talking to them, I'm talking to their network because you're going to get off this podcast or somebody's going to get off that conversation with me selling them a house or whatever it is. And they're going to go tell, oh yeah, my realtor's great. Like, I don't know how many times I've talked to someone who already has a realtor. I'm like, so, cause we come across conversations. Oh, I already have a realtor. Oh, that's cool. Great. Oh, what's their name? Like they have no idea who the realtor is. Like they're working with them now and they have no idea what the realtor's name is. I'm like, didn't you just go see a house this guy like last week or something? Like you don't know their name? Yeah, it's like Scott or something. So like it's like you're not being memorable. Like and then in the moment you're not being memorable. So like you have to be able to differentiate yourself. You don't want to be like a glorified door opener.
Right. So you talk a lot about, I guess, systematizing this. And so let's kind of move the conversation that way because you're talking specifically about the real estate industry, which I know a lot of listeners are in, but let's say you're not in real estate. I guess before you talk about systematizing, I apologize for that. What kind of dollar amount do you need to be selling to make gifts a good source of revenue?
Yeah, for sure. So what I used to do is it's 5 to 10% of whatever the client's worth to you on an annual basis. So like for me, like, and this is like, I don't know, if you're a financial advisor, if you're a coach, if you're an insurance salesman, real estate agent, anybody, a dentist, anybody who has like a service-based business, this is really, really good for. HVAC contractor, or any kind of contractor, really, plumber, whatever. But basically, like if I close a deal, just to keep numbers even, if I close like, I don't know, $500,000-$600,000 house, it's around a $10,000 commission. So 5 to 10% of that would be what, like $500 to $1,000 for the rest of the year. So I basically got $1,000. This person just made me 10 grand. So I can't spend $500 to $1,000 over the next 12 months, not all at once, over 12 months giving back to this person. I mean, they're never going to forget me. The gifts are going to be memorable. And it's also something no one else is doing. It's something no one else is doing at all. Nothing. Like you have like I've had people ask me, because I became known as like the referral guy around the office. So like they would ask me like, what are you doing? And I'd be like, Steve, I'm trying to do something that no one else is doing. I'm like, okay, well, why don't you write personal notes and give gifts? Nobody does that. It's like, it's amazing. 0.7% of all mail is a personal note. So you want to do something different, like do that. You literally just eliminated 99.3% of your competition.
Okay, well, thanks so much for going through that. So 5 to 10% is a reasonable amount for the next 12 months. And I think that's actually a really doable figure for everyone that's listening, including myself.
Yes.
And so let's say you're not selling something where you're getting $10,000. Let's say you're making a lot less than that. Obviously, the gifts would be smaller, but is it still justifiable to send it? Or is there a kind of a threshold before you even start sending gifts?
You do what you can. So like, I mean, there's a difference. What you could do is you could do maybe, instead of, if the client value is low, maybe, I don't know, if you have like an online service business where you're doing like a SaaS company or something like that, and you're doing, I don't know, every client's worth like $19 a month or something like that. Well, then don't do that. Maybe do some kind of client appreciation event for all of them at one time, but just do something to give back and do it so that it actually lasts, or save up after, and let's put it this way. Every business has its top 20%. Everybody does. So that's the Pareto principle lives in every business, and it's inescapable. So focus on that 20%. Who has bought into you the hardest? And if it's not your clients, maybe it's not your clients, but go for new clients or networks. Like, okay, maybe your clients are all worth the same, but if you make this connection with this person over here, that could mean 25 more clients. You know what I mean? So maybe you don't invest as much into the client base because there's a million ways I could go with this. I'm just kind of shooting from the hip at this point, but like there's a way to make it work. So you could do literally anything. There's a way to appreciate on everybody. You just have to, it's hard when you don't have an actual example, but that's the best I got.
Got it. Okay. No, I think that's really smart. So kind of bundle everyone together, kind of do an event every few months.
Or rotate them. Like if you have a massive database of like 10, 20,000 people, then just do like a set amount per quarter. Like, okay, this is going to do this 20% is going to get this quarter. Q2 is going to go to this person, to these people, and then cycle through them. And that way everybody's getting something all the time.
Okay. So you just proved that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just proved that it's going to work regardless of how much revenue you're bringing in. So
yeah, gratitude's also a powerful emotion.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So you talked about systematizing. I'd love to bring the conversation that way. Could you talk about how to make this automatic?
Yeah. So the number one way to do it is to have a plan. Because the thing that what people don't do is the first thing is people hear the word gratitude and they think this like this airy fairy, like very wishy-washy, like concept. Like when people hear the word gratitude, they think of like these people that go out on these retreats and have these ayahuasca retreats, and like they're just like floating through the air, and like like that's like, oh, so we're all so grateful to be here. Like that's not what gratitude when connected to an actual plan is the most powerful marketing tool we have, without question. The ROI on a gratitude is like, it's always double digit, almost always. It's insane. To bring it back to systemizing it is coming up with a plan, knowing like, okay, here's my touches I'm going to have. Here's who's going to do the touches, who's going to do the ordering of the gifts, who's going to do the personalizing of the gifts, who's going to do the shipping of the gifts. Like coming up with a solution to all of that is the best way to go about it. Because like once you know where everything is, and it could just be your assistant. You could hire me to do it, or you could do your in-house with your assistant, or if a team member, or if it's a business partner, just the two of you guys, both of you guys can do it. Whatever the situation is, as long as you have a system in place to do it, that's really what it's having a plan is what really makes the system work. And in terms of that, it's when people want to try to like, start to gift haphazardly to like, oh, this person, you know what, I'm feeling kind of generous today. Let me go do that. Or let me do a little bit of, you know what, that person could use some empathy today. I'm going to do something that like, it's just the haphazardness is what's going to cause the randomness of the generosity too. So like I'm saying, like when you have a plan, it's like, okay, I'm going to hit 30 people every Tuesday for 3, 4, 5 months, whatever. Or Q1's going to get my A clients, Q2, A plus clients, Q3, back to A's, Q4, back to A pluses, like something, but have a plan. That's the best way to systemize it. And then who's going to do everything?
Okay, I think that's a really good idea, having a plan and actually following through with it. And I guess, how do you track the ROI on this? I know you can't really put a value on relationships. I mean, you can, but what is the best way to kind of follow through and see the numbers of how things are going?
Well, sure. You got to track how many people, who are you reaching out to, who's getting a touch, and then how much are you spending on that touch? And then at the end, so like, for example, in my real estate career in 2020, I think it's 2020 or 2021, I forget which year it was, I set out a budget. I wanted to spend $12,000 on my best clients over the course of the year, which is $1,000 a month. Not an insane budget. It's not crazy for a small business, but I ended up spending $10,560 or something like that, some crazy, weird, random number. So then I ended up getting was $166,000 in referrals. Like I got referrals and they closed them out. Yeah, it's like a 15x. Like I said, it's always a double digit. Yeah. And people are like, "Oh my god." Like it's crazy. So yeah, so like that you track it, because I know how many gifts I sent. I know who I sent them to. I know how many gifts I sent, and I know how much the total spend was 10,500, and I made 166. So it's like you can track that.
Wow. Okay. That's incredible. I definitely need to get into this. So I want to shift the conversation a little bit using a different example. I mean, real estate, it's working great for you. I'm personally not a real estate agent or realtor. I have a course that I teach people how to invest in the stock market, and I have students in there. What would be the best way to, in your opinion, kind of give them gifts or get more referrals?
So do you have different levels of your course? Do you have different membership levels? Are they all paying the same thing? What's the story?
At the current level, just everything's the same, but I do plan to have a higher tier coaching later.
Okay. So that higher tier coaching was going to be something I would focus on too. So like, do you have any other kind of community? It's basically every client like exactly the same? They're all the same?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So then I would do what I said. How big's the database? Like how big's the community?
It's very small, less than 100 people.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Okay, that's good. So then you can hit every one of them. Because if you're going to tell me like 20,000, I was like, okay, we're going to have to come up with a plan for that. But like, no, 100 people, like that's literally 25 people a quarter. So I don't, whatever they're paying you, pick 5 to 10% of that, and then hit like 25 people, which is only, when you think about that, it's only 8 people a month, which is not horrible. So think about that. Yeah. Every month, 8 people are going to get touched by you in some kind of appreciative way. They're going to be like, you know what? This guy's not just a coach who just wants to get my money every month. Like he actually knows my name. He went over and above to do something cool for me. Like I guarantee you so not everybody's going to be, the responses will not always be consistent. And when I say that, I mean, they're not all going to go to Facebook and post it and social and, tell everybody, but eventually, and 100 people, there's definitely 1 to 4 Paul Revere's in there, no doubt. And they're going to get that. And they're going to be like, whoa, dude, VJ just put this on my thing. He's got all these clients and he picked me out and he sent me something personal, and he's going to be like, wow, this guy really means something. He actually cares about the people he's working with. And that'll grow up, dude. That will grow your business massively, very quick, like exponentially.
I love that. Thank you. I definitely need to start doing this. So what are some gift ideas that you have seen work in this space?
So you can do basically, so we basically have 6 criteria that we basically want to do is try to keep it to, it's got to be memorable. It's got to be about the recipient, because what people will do is they'll put promo versus gifts. And that gifts basically they'll give, there's nothing wrong with promo items. Like if you want to go to the conference and fill a bag full of crap that everyone's going to throw away as soon as they walk out the door, that's fine. You can just waste your money and do that. But what you could do, the problem is people give promo as the gift. So like if I sent you something with my name on it and said, and my logo on it, you'd be like, oh, this is cool. Like super cool. Like I'm looking at an award I got and it has the brand name of the coach I hired and it's all over the picture and my name's at the bottom. Like, cool, good job, Steve. And I'm like, I don't care about, like, I don't even care about this. That's why it's like in a closet over there. Because like,
Yeah.
it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like if it had like appreciation advocate, cool stuff, blah, 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 that'd be cooler. But like, so focus on that, make it about the client or the recipient, not about you. Personalize it so you can get their name on it or make it their favorite color or make it so that like, just basically get something that they can't just go on Amazon and buy. Don't get a gift card or e-gift card. Those aren't going to work because again, the whole idea here, I'm actually writing a book about this, so I'll have to send you a copy of it. The book's called The Impression Scale, and basically the whole idea of gift giving is about making impressions. So like think about like you don't want to take people to lunch or like events or dinners because you're basically paying 250 to thousands of dollars for one impression. Like if a marketing agency was hiring me and they said, yeah, what do you bring to the table? And I'd say, well, basically for one impression, it only costs like $250. They'd be like, get the hell out of here, dude. I don't want you working here. $250 for one impression? Like, I don't want you at all. So basically, like, for example, 8 years ago, a guy named John Rulin gave me a pair of Cutco scissors and they got my name engraved on it. I still have them today. They're the best pair of scissors I have. And I'm talking about them here on a podcast. And because every time I pick those scissors up, I think of him. And I'm like, that's so cool. Like, I really love these scissors. But like they last forever, they're high quality, they're about me, not him, and there's something that I use and very visible that I see often. So that's the kind of gift you're talking about, something that's visible. Like I've given people like these really cool wine bottle openers that are like they can open a bottle of wine in like a quarter of a second. It's like and it pops. It's called a cork pop. It's awesome. And basically, people love that. I've given people like when they bought their homes, I would give them like a watercolor painting of their home. I've done anything that basically they're going to see often. We call it attacking the kitchen. We call it that because people live in the kitchen and they spend a lot of time there. So like if you're giving, basically anytime they touch anything in their kitchen, I want them to think of me. So that's basically where I'm going at. So like I used to get ice cream scoopers, pizza cutters, pots and pans, cutting boards, scissors, anything that they're going to keep, knives. If they're going to keep it in the kitchen, if they touch it, I want them thinking about me. And it was common.
That is so smart. Yeah, just every time you look around the kitchen, they think of you and they're like, okay, I need to buy or sell a house. I know exactly what I'm going to reach out to. And I really like how you mentioned not to really have your own brand. It's all about the client, right? And a lot of people don't follow that. So should you not have anything about your brand on there or just keep it very small, or how do you kind of get them to remember you?
I know the marketing minds on this listening to this episode will be like their eyes are probably twitching. Like I can't put my branding on it. Like they're freaking out right now. I'm like, no, you can't. So I know there's certain rules and stuff, and I don't know. It's different for industry, but sometimes you do have to have your logo on there for tax write-off purposes. So like maybe like if it was a coffee mug that was something, you'd probably put like the logo and stuff underneath where you can't see it, because I think you can't write it. I don't know what the rules are per industry, but I say you can't write it off if it doesn't have your logo or up to a certain dollar amount or something like that. So it depends. But like you hide it, and if it's a gift under the threshold, whatever it is for your industry, then just don't put the logo on there at all. Like, no, it's about them. Like if I was coming, like if it was your birthday, I came over your house and I said, here you go, VJ. Here's a big, I don't know, poster with my face on it. You'd be like, what the hell, dude? This is the weirdest thing ever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's as opposed to like if I had some artist make a picture of you and be like put all the cool things that your entire list of services and awards and people you've helped and all these other cool things on there, and then had a really badass frame around it. Like you'd be like, wow, this is really sick, dude. Thank you. Versus, you know what I mean? Because it's about you.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. I have one more question on this, and then I promise we'll move on.
No,
I mean, I found this super fascinating. Is it okay to let's say of a community, is it okay to have a mug with the community branding on it, even though it's not about the actual company they hired, but it's a community that they're a part of? It doesn't necessarily have their individual name, but just shows that they're a part of a community.
Oh, okay. So that might be like part of the onboarding process. I wouldn't use it as like an appreciation gift. I'd probably say like, hey, this is probably more of like, okay, welcome to the community. Here's your mug, shirt, whatever. But I think if you could even personalize that, like even if you were to put like a handwritten note with it, like if, okay, you made it a mug, like what's the guy? Steven Crowder has his mug club, and everybody gets a mug. He can give people the mug, whatever. But like if you had a handwritten note that was sent out with the mug to just show that like, hey, look, I know this is kind of what everybody gets. Because like the word swag, SWAG, it's called stuff we all get. That's literally what it stands for.
Yeah.
And so actually I use a different S word typically, but but actually, so just give so okay, here's the swag, but then like no, here's the personal note to say, hey, look, I recognize you as a unique person, and you are on your own unique journey, and I'm here to help you on that unique journey. And like maybe accompany it with something else that's personalized. So yeah, give them the mug and then the handwritten note, and I don't know, something else. I don't something that's more personal to them.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for going through that. And I'd like to switch the conversation a little bit to this book that you're writing that's coming out pretty soon. Could you talk a little bit more about this book?
Yeah, so it's called the Impression Scale, and basically it's about making impressions that last and making them positive and long lasting versus like for lack of a better word, fart in the wind impressions where you just kind of like you make the impression and boom, you're gone. Like taking someone out to lunch a week later, no one's thinking about it. Even if you go to the Super Bowl, like you enjoy the weekend in Arizona watching the Chiefs and Eagles play, and then about a week to 2 weeks later, you're not really thinking about it a whole lot. Definitely not thinking about it a year later. maybe someone's like, "Hey, cool, I went there," but it's basically making impressions that last, and it's a really really simple tool to whenever you are about to appreciate or love on somebody. Like, let's use this impression scale to make sure that what I'm about to do is actually going to work. That's really the whole thing.
So could we talk a little bit more about this impression scale? What's on it?
It's basically two scales from 1 to 10. The top scale from 1 to 10 is the impression itself. Is it a good impression? Then it's a 10. If it's a bad impression, it's a 1. Very easy to remember. I know, super complicated. So like, and on the bottom side of the scale, it's actually slanted downward, and it's called the top of mind indicator. So basically, is the impression I'm using going to stick with this person, or is it going to slide down into obscurity? So that's basically the impression scale. So, okay, what am I about to do? Like when you give your mug, we were just talking about, okay, when I give this mug, is this person going to, is it a good impression? 1 to 10, pick a number. What do you think it's going to be? And then does it have staying power? Are they going to think of me? Does it make them feel good inside? Like, and then does it have sticking power? And then you can basically grade it. Like, oh, you know what? And just for the sake of it, in your own opinion, maybe you're like, you know what? This is really only like a 5. And it's probably going to slide into obscurity. So you know what? Maybe I'm not going to do this. You basically can kind of see the future a little bit with it. That's kind of why I created it. Because a lot of people, they give gifts, and it's like I'm sure during the holidays you've probably gotten a gift from somebody, and you're like, great, thanks. Why did you give me this? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. They could have really used the impression scale because that made a terrible impression.
And so kind of on the lower side of the impression scale is, or I guess stickiness is like going to the Super Bowl, or like things that kind of you forget. Is that what you're talking about, to avoid?
Yeah. So like I call it nailing down the impression. So like instead of sliding down into obscurity on the top of mind indicator, which is ironic that it's on the bottom, but it's like, so like the scissors I got from John Ruhlin, like I still think about those because so he nailed that. He made the impression, it was a 10, and then he put it on the top of mind indicator, and he just nailed it in so that it can't slide down, because every time I touch the scissors, it brings him right back to the top. So like it can't ever slide into obscurity or into the subconscious mind. It's like it's always there. Every time I touch the scissors, boom, he comes right back to the forefront of my mind. And then every time. So like you want to nail down the impression.
Wow, I'm really looking forward to reading this book. What else is in the book? Give us some more teasers.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the earlier chapters is called the 3 anchors of appreciation, because as we were just saying, like people can really screw this up and make a terrible impression on somebody. So we can do so for the first one is, I call it the singular effort, which means basically you give somebody one gift one time, you make one effort. And the reason that's an anchor is because it's only one impression, regardless of what it is. It's, you don't want it you want it to be more of a multiple, like a series. You want to keep going. You don't want to just gift one time. You want to keep going with it. The second one, I call it the Well, before you get that, the singular effort, I call that the fart in the wind. That's the AKA the fart in the wind. It's just, you're gone. The second one I call it the negative Nancy, because basically the negative Nancy is like whenever you give somebody an impression, it's basically it's neutral or negative, which means, like we are just talking about bad Christmas gifts. Like it's like, oh, or anytime it's a gift that just like it's lazy. Like if you gotta, like I had one time I had a record year, and somebody in the brokerage got me an award, and it was just like, he gave me this award. It was just a gift card. It was like $20. I was like, dude, I made your brokerage like 20 grand this year or something like that. And you give me $25 gift card? Like, what is this? Like, I didn't say that, obviously, of course. I was just like, oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'll go home and buy dog food with it. I don't know. Like, so that's the negative Nancy. It's a one effect, and it's a negative impression. So like, that's the second anchor. The third anchor is without doubt the most fatal. That one is, I forget what I called it actually, because I'm not done writing the book yet. But it's actually basically it's basically the siren. So they call it the siren because it's the false positive is actually the real name for it. And the reason they call it a false positive is because the reaction to the gifts is always the same. Oh my God, thank you so much for doing that. You're the best. Like, you shouldn't have, like, so nice. And the problem is they call it the false positive because even the negative gifts get positive reactions. So the feedback loop is a total lie. So you're thinking the whole time that, oh, you're being reinforced that this is great. So you're just going to keep doing it to everybody else and to this person over and over again, even though the reality of it is it's actually terrible. And I call it the siren too, because that, obviously it's what sirens do. They sing, they make you feel like you're important, and then they take you to the depths and drown. So like, right. So like the way to getting rid of you want to make sure that the gift is not a false positive, because the false positive will basically, you have to watch out that every gift is going to get the same reaction.
What do you say? It's better to not give a gift than give a bad gift?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely not. Don't do that, because people, I think about like when you ever have an experience that's bad, like it takes, I'm doing some research on this. It takes eight good impressions to overcome one bad one. So don't give yourself more work. Just don't make the impression. Don't make the impression. Because then if you make a bad one, now you got to do 8 times more effort. So just don't make it. If you don't know what you're doing, just don't make it. Just reassess, reevaluate, and then go back to it.
So just for the audience, kind of a recap, is kitchen appliance items kind of like the best, and office supplies, or is that like, what's kind of like the best go-to that you think are fairly safe to have good impressions?
Yeah, anything in the kitchen is going to work that they're going to use. That's also of high quality. Don't do anything that's, don't give tchotchkes. Don't give things with your logo. Don't give like stress balls. Like, do stuff that they're going to use, stuff that they're going to see fairly often, like things that are around the house. Maybe build there's some bajillion websites out there that will actually make them a custom trophy that's just for them because they're the best customer award or whatever it is. I mean, just anything that's going to stay around the house, it's going to last, and it's personalized and specialized to them.
Okay, perfect. I'll definitely do that. Well, Steven, let's, you're extremely knowledgeable in the space, and I like everything that you're about. Could you tell us what is your favorite book outside the one that you're writing, and what it's about for the audience?
I do really like John Ruhlin's book, Giftology. I think that's a really great book. That's actually one of the most inspiring. That's one of the books that inspired me to do what I do, was hearing about what John does. And now him and I do different audiences, I think. I think he's a little bit more on the higher end of things. Most of my stuff is not as, like, I'm not working with the Jacksonville Jaguars or sports teams or anything like that. So, but like, he was the major inspiration. So I'd say probably the book Giftology by John Ruhlin is a good book.
Awesome. And could you talk a little bit more about what you do for this business and who your ideal client is, so anyone that's listening might be interested in working with you, Steve?
Yeah, for sure. So my ideal client is like mom and pop, average Joe, and the solopreneur. So like, basically, if you're just on your own and you don't have a full massive team to help you with this, like, that's my crowd. Like, those are my people. Service-based businesses too. Like, if you let's put it this way: at the end of your career, if you have a book of business that you need to sell, you're for me.
Perfect. And do you have a piece of advice for the audience?
A couple pieces. 2 things. If your priorities are clear, your decisions are easy. So understand that. And then second, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it.
If you're not changing it, you're choosing it.
Yes.
I love that. Wow. that is definitely powerful. Well, thank you so much, Steven. Lastly, where can our audience get in touch with you? This has been extremely educational, very informative, and I definitely need to ramp up my gift giving behaviors with my business. So thank you so much for this.
Yeah, no problem, DJ, anytime. So if you want to get in touch with me, just send me an email, the easiest way. I do check it multiple times a day. So just send me an email at steve@appreciationadvocate.com, and I'll get it eventually.
Awesome. I'll link all this in the show notes. Steve,
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time.
Anytime, BJ. Thanks for having me on, man. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, it's BJ. If you liked this video, you are going to love this video. Make sure you click it, leave questions in the comments, and I'm here to help however I can. Hope you have a great day.